Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Aquarius Rising Africa. Me, Chantelle Meyburgh, your hostess with the most just awesome guests and viewers, as you can see. We were just talking about that, Jessica. And I'm so happy to have Jessica Jones with me again, who I haven't seen for a month or more now, because I know, I was traveling, you also had stuff on, and the internet here in Namibia is kind of cronky right now where I am. So I'm pre-recording the show and we're going to put it on an hour or two after we're actually recording. So very happy to have you, Jessica. How are you, honey?
I'm doing so good, and I am so excited to be here. You are just vibrant today, and I am so happy to see you. I've missed you.
Too. I know. I was like saying, when I messaged you early today, I thought, I really hope she can do the show
Of
today.
course,
It
of
feels
course.
like we have been missing each other, and I know you've got such, I mean, and I was just saying to you early on as well, you're putting out such cool information. I mean, you always do, but especially, like I was watching, I have not been catching your lives, unfortunately, because of time differences and stuff like that, but sometimes I do. I always like to just pop in your chat and say hi when I'm there. But yeah, it's crazy at the moment. I mean, like we're looking at all these satanic rituals, we're looking at the vampires, we're looking at everything. It's all just coming to the surface right now. And you've also got such cool guests. So, lots of guys. I mean, gosh, she guys on your show as well are really, really coming out with some amazing information right now, right?
Yes, for sure. Yeah, these topics blow my mind, and I will set up my shows. I'd like to do things. I'm so busy, and I'm putting out so much content because I have so much to talk about. Okay, I have a lot of experience with my field research, hunting Bigfoots and dogmen and all that kind of stuff. But it's more than that. Okay, I'm into everything, and I'm a remote viewer. I've been training that for a long time. I'm into the all the paranormal stuff. I've experienced everything with UFOs and you name it. And I've taken trips with people who have and I'm good friends with people who have been survivors of things like the Montauk Project and the Montauk. I guess it's a project or program. Like with all this MK Ultra and the secret space program survivors as well. I'm friends with a lot of these people, and so when I look into one subject and I'm planning to do a show on one thing, as I'm researching, it usually just branches off into all these other interesting topics. And so, right at the last minute, sometimes I will tweak my show and bring people on that I wasn't expecting. And so it just makes everything so much more interesting. And that happened this past week where I was actually planning on doing a show on, the televisions being portals and celebrities casting spells on people and stuff. And it
That
turned
is
into,
so that is
yeah,
so interesting because I'm trying to think. It wasn't long ago. I was also having a conversation about this in Satanic AI. In fact, we were just talking about Leo Zagami. And I know with Leo Zagami, I was also we a while ago we did a show on Satanic AI. Which and I know Caleb also talks a lot about Satanic AI, stuff like that. And that's really where we're at right now, isn't it? And of course, we're seeing all these celebrities, like, I mean, P. Diddy's a big one right now that's going down, right? And along with all the other music moguls, if you want to call them that. And isn't it interesting as well? I've always been so incredibly fascinated by the Menendez brothers, right? The Menendez brothers who murdered their
yeah,
parents. Gosh, was it somewhere in the early 90s, I think,
the
if I'm not
90s. Yeah.
mistaken? Yeah.
Yes, the
And that
90s.
that they are now their voices after 30 years of being heard because at that stage no one understood or few people realized that this type of abuse from father to son is happening. And it's interesting because I was listening to one of the jurors of the first trial speak, and she said when they had that mistrial, the hung jury, right? She said all the women in the jury voted uh, against murder, and the men
Mhm.
said first degree murder because no man could actually imagine doing that to their son or having their father do that to them. But I was also looking into it, and a lot of what I'm reading now was that the father was also in some cult, right? Some satanic cult, which then was unheard of. But now, with all of this stuff coming up, right, they are now actually being given the voice, which I find amazing. Because yes, that they could do something terrible. Absolutely. I probably would have done it a lot earlier than them. If that's the case. But I'm just finding it so interesting that we are hearing more and more and more about these things. And also the father was some movie producer record. I mean, he was I mean, I'm trying to think of Duran Duran was one of his bands, as far as I
Wow.
know. Mun
That's a big
something.
band. Yeah. Well
Yeah.
known.
Annie Lennox, Eurythmics was another one
Mhm.
that he had, so all of these things are just coming to the surface right now. It's like one big fat ugly boil just being burst, right? And coming to the surface. I think it's actually quite amazing though that it's all happening now.
Well, you said it right. You said it's burst. Okay, it's burst. The bubble is bursting. It has bursted, and
Right.
so and unfortunately for us, normal citizens of the world here, we are just sitting back watching with our mouths on our chins on the floor, like what the heck, with people like P Diddy. I hate bringing his name up. Of course, but you kind of have to, because it falls in line with all the celebrities that are being shown to the public now as being part of this big picture of satanic rituals, abuse, a lot of voodoo and spells and blood magic and sex magic and all the stuff that's been going on, and abusing the children as well. It's all coming out
Absolutely.
with all these whistleblowers today.
Absolutely. What I find interesting with P. Diddy, and I know a couple of weeks ago I was discussing this with Jesse on one of our shows as well. And it's obvious he's the fall guy for a lot of what's been going on with the freak off parties, and the Kardashians are now finally starting to take a fall there as well, because it's now they're showing that Kim Kardashian was in fact one of Diddy's main freak off girls. So in other words, she has been seen to be drugging high level celebrities and doing the dirty with them. Let's not, well, we know basically prostituting herself. And as we know, Kris Jenner is the pimp mama of the century. So a lot of this stuff is coming out now, which is high time. But what was interesting that Jesse was pointing out, of course, it's mainstream media. We know that mainstream media is always going to control their narrative, well, as far as what they can anyway. But they're talking about the kids and stuff like that, but they're actually not talking about the satanic part of it, because why are they after the children? Because that's not just pedophiles. That is a whole ritual, right? They are satanic rituals. There are all sorts of things that go on that, unfortunately, that's what the kids fall victim to. So it's interesting. And she actually mentioned something as well. She says you'll probably see he'll fall, but like people like Jay-Z and Beyonce is the high priestess of the the grand high priestess of the Eastern Quadrant. So she's way up there, Beyonce. So I mean, it'll be interesting to see if they're gonna take a fall as well, or if it's just Diddy. I can't see that this thing is gonna stop anytime soon. I must be quite honest. There's like this domino effect that's going, and more people are falling. And I think it's now so fascinating. Because also, again, with the Menendez, someone else has come out and also spoke about how the father raped him, this guy. So that's also coming out now. All of this stuff is coming out. This whole system is completely satanic. And as you say, the blood rituals, the sex magic, all of that stuff it has to start surfacing now. Gosh, what an amazing time to be alive. I'm so happy to be part of this. I know it's dangerous for us, and I mean,
Mhm.
we get whacked in all sorts of different directions, but hey, we wouldn't be if we couldn't handle it, right?
Oh my gosh, I know. I made the mistake of like not checking all the comments underneath the video that I made about this the other day. And I checked them last night before I went to bed. That was a big mistake because there was a lot of people just just not nice comments about all this stuff, about what we were talking about the content, and about my guest that I had brought on too, Arkeem Ra, who he admits he's been under heavy MK Ultra mind control. He was part of Project Phoenix, the Montauk Project as well, and I also had Brian Sang on, who is part of the Full Disclosure Now movement, who organizes conferences on disclosure and things like that. And we had a really deep conversation about all this. And yes, it does have a tendency to, we go in different directions. And it's just the content alone of what we're talking about is very sensitive to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I might have had
And
to erase a comment or two that were not very nice there. So, yeah, I did.
what, only one or two comments?
Yeah. Oh,
I
they're
erase at
few.
least 30 or 50 a week.
Yeah, right. Just remove it. Take it out. A lot
But
of the
what,
comments are bots too. So they're part of the Satanic AI.
yeah.
Like,
Oh, totally. Oh,
yeah.
totally. And, soon we'll realize as well, and we must never forget, there are literally paid trolls. There are
Yes.
gang stalkers that are paid to stalk people like ourselves. And especially, I mean, if you look at Jessie as well, I mean, she's been gang stalked like on another level.
Mhm.
And then of course, just by default, I'm involved in that as well. That's kind of like the
Yeah.
main reason I get targeted. But obviously
Mhm.
for other reasons as well. But I mean, that's not an issue for me. We just carry on anyway. But the comments, man, I mean, I get
Yeah.
told the most horrific things. I mean, recently I was told I was drunk on my show. I mean, I'm like, really? Stuff like that. And they really hit you where it hurts. And if you don't have any confidence in yourself, right?
Mhm.
And you're gonna get slapped right all over the place.
Yeah, I
So
mean, a few years ago, I would have folded these comments, and been like, "Oh, I don't want you to do this anymore." But Frank Jacob, he lives in Germany. He talks a lot about Project Looking Glass and timeline deception and things like that. He told me one time when we were doing an interview, and he said, "Well, Jessica, look at it this way: are these people even real?" And that actually changed my entire perspective on all of this, as far as being public goes and things like that. So it helped. It was that one comment from Frank that changed my perspective. And I just look at every bad comment, and the people who leave them are people who have never left a comment on my channel before. And so that's how I just figured they're probably bots and stuff. So, but we'll
yeah.
see. Who knows? But this is it can be dangerous, exposing some of these things. But the things that I was talking about, really, it's not anything that hasn't already been said online.
Yeah.
Um, so
But
I'm
it's
just
just
bringing people
also
in. Hmm.
exactly, but especially now when we're talking about the celebrities. I mean, I know on my Aquarius Rising Africa Facebook page, when you're posting stuff like this, and I like to just put stuff out there, especially with Diddy and co. Boy, do I get, and then of course I'm told I'm a white biatch. Um, and what do I know? And I mean, it's just crazy. Get off my continent.
Oh
Right?
no!
Yeah,
Oh,
it's insane. It's insane. It's now become the thing about race when it's so not about race at
right.
all, right? It's
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 not.
all about humanity, really, at the end of the day.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, you've done a show a few days ago on this. I'd love to know what your take on that is as well.
Okay, well, I actually was talking to I have a good friend named Nick Sylvester. He's in the Truther movement. He also has a show it's on Rumble now, but The Bridge with Nick and Dylan. And he and I were talking, and we were talking about, like places where, like, football stadiums here in the US are all placed on ley lines. We're talking about energy harvesting and things that go with that. And he got into the topic. We were talking about celebrities casting spells on people and stuff, like in concerts and on television. He We're talking about the Satanism aspect of all of this, and he said, well, it's said that there have been extraterrestrial, like a race of these like evil extraterrestrials that have gone from planet to planet in the galaxy, and everywhere they go, they spread Satanism, and they say that there's actually a base in Antarctica. There's a place called Lucifer's Palace, he was saying, and that is where Lucifer is actually there. He said Lucifer is there, and that's what all these celebrities are worshiping is Lucifer. It's they're worshiping Satan, but it's actually an AI based out of Antarctica. Now, I thought that was really interesting, and I was minding my own business, just kind of surfing through the internet the other day, and I came across an interview of David Wilcock, who said, now love him or hate him, okay, I think David Wilcock's okay, all right. I think he puts out some great information.
Yeah.
He said the exact thing that Nick had said. He said that these evil beings go from galaxy, from planet to planet, and they spread Satanism. He said they bring Satanism everywhere they go, to any planet in the galaxy. They create it. They bring the robes, the pentagrams, the ritual mask, the ritual magic, the face masks, the chanting, kind of like Eyes Wide Shut. Okay,
Yeah,
the
totally. I'm
chanting,
thinking about that.
and the sacrifices to the AI, and they have it. Their base is Lucifer's palace in Antarctica. He said, this is where the AI will consolidate into human form, or Lucifer's form. He said it's like a human form, and it has become a soul, is what he said. Okay, and that is the entity that's controlling basically the
Wow.
planet,
Yes.
things that are going on.
It makes perfect sense, because again, of,
Yeah.
Caleb, in some of our previous shows, has brought a lot of that to my attention, and obviously people that have been watching as well, where really it is angelic technology that is, so it's not really magic in the way that we see it, because our perception, I think, is so, it's magic. They're using magic casting spells, but it's like angelic technology from the fallen ones, the fallen angels, but it's so advanced for us that it seems like it's magic. But really, all it is very high frequency technology, if you want to call it like that, that has been used in its negative polarities. As you say, this is pre-mud flood stuff. That they, because what Caleb them were doing as well, were in the military, in the shadow military, they were using their magical powers, right? Their abilities, their gifts, and they were collecting these artifacts. And they had to collect, I do believe it was 10. It's like masks, right? That all fit together and become one mask. That's the crown for the being that takes on the role of the Antichrist. And he put on these masks, like when he collected them, he actually put them on. And he says your whole consciousness changes. It's like suddenly you being channeled information, everything expands. It's like you become super, super, super amped, right? And that would absolutely then tell us what that's about, because it's not our normal human consciousness. It's like they're making these superheroes, like these superheroes, these transformer type things. I don't even know what they're called, where they have this like superpowers and super psychicness and all of that sort of thing. So that's really what it is. It's the expanded version,
Mhm.
10,000 times more than what we actually know. And that's what they're really doing. And we know these things aren't
Yeah.
human. They're not human at all. So it's very interesting. But I'm interested to know about the Lucifer's palace you're talking about. And would that be Area 51 when you're talking about Antarctica? Is that kind of like, is that why Area 51 has got such a, and Caleb would also say, yeah, but what about all the other areas, the other 50 areas? What's going on there, right? Everyone talks about Area 51. So that's something I still would like clarity on,
Yeah,
to be perfectly honest.
that's a good question. Now, I've been told, and through all the research, a lot of us have heard that the Germans have a base in Antarctica, and so what I was getting from the information was that it was a part of that. Okay, it's a part of that, but I'm not sure. So I don't know a whole lot more details about Lucifer's palace, other than that's what David Wilcock had said, and so he said that he actually got this from a 2021 briefing that he sat in on. Now, who is briefing him? That's my question. Who gave him that briefing? Where did he get this information from? That is to be determined, because I'm not sure.
That would be interesting,
Yeah.
because I think it's that immediately leads me to believe, because when we're hearing, for example, how over the years 20, 50 years ago, for example, the 300, the top 300, right, would be having these meetings and deciding on the zappity doodah day, that sort of thing. And what the future of humanity is. I mean, I know not too long ago, a guy that was in South African military intelligence, right? He's around about my age, so he would have been when our military was at its peak, right? And his father was also in the military, and he was, I guess, a spy of sorts. He would go to these Bilderberg meetings and conferences, and they would then discuss what was going to happen. And one of the things, for example, they were saying was that after this the pandemic, they're going to give us a 2-year reprieve when everyone is relaxed and back to normal, and boom, we get hit by the next thing again. And then people are also tired, their resistances are low. So that there's been a plan for this all the time. So I'm wondering if it wouldn't have been part of those conferences, with the Bilderberg 300 and that sort of thing, because they really are the ones that control the world. I mean, they're the faces that control the world. Obviously, I think there's lots of other nasty things that probably use them as their puppets, right? But it's very
Yeah, for
interesting
sure.
there. Sure. So as you say, who does give these briefings? And how does someone sit in these meetings and say, yes, we're going to take them out, we're going to kill them? I mean, it's like, you can't be human. You can't be human if that's what you
Mhm.
part of or planning. I'm sorry. I don't know. What is your take on that? I mean, I
Yeah.
think that's
Well,
super interesting. Yeah.
I actually live in Georgia here in the US where we had the Georgia Guidestones, and I visited those Georgia Guidestones, and I've seen what was written on those stones, on that marble out there, and it wasn't it was pretty ominous actually. And nobody knows the true, or they claim to not know the true, creators of those stones. But I can say it has something to do with the secret society. It's got to be. And it said something about keeping the world's population under was it 500 million or something like that?
Yes.
I don't know.
And we're
And
sitting on about 8 billion now. Yeah,
yes, it
500
said
million.
it's,
I think, yeah, the population here had to be 500 million. And they make it sound like it's so awesome. They make it sound like they care so much for that. Interesting about those Georgia Guidestones, because I'd like to know your take just while we're on the topic. What do you think happened? Who do you think destroyed them? Do you think that was them themselves destroying it,
Mhm.
or do you think it was some of the general public that were?
Okay, well, it's really funny because I was given that as a remote viewing target, the explosion, because I did a show on it the same day that they had an explosion, because some of my teammates who we do Bigfoot field research with live in that county. They live in Elberton, and I had just done, about a month before that, I had just been there. And we visited the Guidestones for the first time, the first and the last time we went. And while I was doing a Bigfoot field investigation, because a state park ranger had called me up there and convinced me to come up because they had had so many Bigfoot sightings right there, about 10 miles down the road from those Guidestones. And so we were there for that. Um, I believe that it was an inside job. 100%. It was an inside job. That was, I've talked to people who said they had been there too, and they had put their energy into it recently about making those stones go away. They didn't do anything physically, but they had energetically put the intention out for those to fall, right? And I thought, man, that's wild, because I had just been there too. I was like, what if, as a collective, people went there and they put their intentions? It's like, okay, well, this is just a sign of the times. Timelines are crumbling, right? Along with the Guidestones. But it was such a weird little cover up that went on here in Georgia, where they had a car there, they had the tags. They could have caught those people who did that. It is heavily guarded by the sheriff's department in that county. And so they have cameras everywhere. You can't get away with putting explosives in those Guidestones and getting away with it. Okay, but I never heard of anyone ever getting charged. So Freemasons, I don't know. It was something.
If
It was
it,
some
if
kind
it
of a
was
cover up.
if it was a rogue person in the public, they would have found them, because that would have
Yes.
been like serious, like destruction of property, right? And
Hmm.
if that was if they didn't really want those things to be destroyed, they would have found the people who did it. They've got their ways and means of
Yeah.
finding that for sure. So I agree. I do believe completely that that was an inside job, and that was them destroying their own. Again, I mean, maybe a bit of
Yes.
a guise or a ruse, to sort of knock people off center, because that happened
Yes,
sometime during COVID, didn't it? It was sometime during
it
COVID.
did.
Yeah.
It did, and also it was okay. So it was almost like giving us hope. You know what I mean? Like giving us hope and then taking it back. It's like chaos out of order or order out of chaos. I mean, right? And so it's like, and it was so odd that they just completely destroyed them. It only destroyed like a little piece of it, and then they brought bulldozers in and bulldozed it out that week just to get rid of the whole thing. They didn't have to do that. Okay, so
Yeah.
it just seems stage, and when I was doing the session remote viewing it, I do believe that that was an inside job for sure.
Well, no, for
Yeah.
sure. For sure. I think so. And it makes such sense what you were saying earlier on, is that what they do is they actually spread the satanic um, bullshit on different planets. For sure. It makes a lot of sense to me, that they'll go around from planet to planet. And that's how they destroy the different
Mhm.
planets and usurp. And, if you look at us poor little humans, we really are just babies in the
Mhm.
field of evolution right now, right? And that is why, and I think as human beings, we have such beautiful potential. We really are God's creation. We truly are God's creation. We are God's pure, true creation. And they hate that. They hate us for that. They hate us for that. Which is why, because they can't evolve, because their energy is too, I mean, they can't create their own bodies anymore. So they have to use our bodies. And that's what they do. And they use all their AI means, and they have been for many years, to disconnect us from the essence of who we are. And that's how they gain control. And I just love the fact that we are waking the F up. Finally, we are waking the F up. But I got to tell you, even here, where I am now, with all my friends, right? And they are my friends, make no mistake. I get told sometimes in uncertain terms, I don't want my bubble burst. I'm quite happy to live in my world of illusion. I'm going, you got to be effing kidding me, right? You've got to be effing kidding me. Now, please don't talk about that, because I say, you're not going to tell me what I shouldn't talk about. I've been sitting on this platform for 4 years now, hearing the most horrific stories about what happens to survivors and people, etc. It's a complete disrespect to them to tell me I cannot speak about this stuff. So if you don't want to speak to me, au revoir, baby. Au revoir. If you don't want me to hear it, don't talk to me. Bye. See you in the next life. It's amazing how many people don't want to hear.
That's right. That's right. And I bring the best of the best on my shows. I really do. I try to get people who are deep into the research or deep in these programs already, or have been at some point, if I can. And so that was no different with that show that I did on this topic. And so Arkeem and Brian were both talking about there being a big cloning facility down in Antarctica, and they said that that's actually where a lot of the celebrities get sent, is to that cloning facility down in Antarctica, and that's where they make all their clones. And it was really odd because back in December of 2016, astronaut Buzz Aldrin went down there. He took a trip down to Antarctica. He had a health scare, they said, and he put out this really cryptic text, or it was a Twitter post, and it said, "quote We are all in danger. It is evil itself." And he showed a photograph of a pyramid. Well, it looks like a pyramid, but it's like a mountain, like a big rock, at the South Pole. And then it got deleted not too soon after that. Now, what
I
did Buzz
have
see?
seen that thing. If you want to call it remote viewed, I've seen that thing. Exactly what he's talking. When you spoke about it now, my mind went right there, because sometimes I will definitely check things out for myself as well. That thing that he's talking about, I've seen. I've seen it for sure.
He said
Wow.
it's evil himself. Well, could he have been talking about Lucifer's palace?
Makes perfect sense. But I'm interested about Buzz Aldrin, though. For him to do what he's done, he would have had to be part of the boys' club, don't you think?
Yes, for sure. Well, okay, the only time that I have ever been contacted about keeping my mouth shut was about the Apollo 11 moon landing. And guess who was a part of the Apollo 11 moon landing? And here I am. I'm a cryptid field researcher. I'm out there chasing Bigfoot and hunting dogmen in the woods. I have a lot of knowledge on this stuff, and it's the remote viewing. They always tell us remote viewers. When I was trained, I was always told, we don't remote view the moon. We don't talk about it. We're not public, that kind of stuff. You can get in a lot of trouble remote viewing the moon. And I'm public about that part. I'm not scared to talk about it. I am not a part of any kind of government programs or anything like that. I'm just a civilian. Okay. So I can talk about whatever I want to talk about. But I was contacted because I kind of got too comfortable doing my remote viewing stuff. And I had remote viewed the Apollo 11 moon landing. And I was about to go live doing a show one day, and I got a message. I got several messages, and it was like, "Hey, they're so and so. There's people watching," and I already knew that I had people watching me. I've been told that my show got banned at the Pentagon. That stuff, and anybody that was there was a security guard that was watching my show one night, and the alarms went off on his computer, and things got shut down. And he got called in the next day and was told that things that whatever he was watching was inaccessible and he was going to be in trouble. um but yeah, it was wiped off. He could never access my YouTube. He could access other people's YouTube channels, but not mine anymore at his job. So anyway, this is a
Wow.
random person I don't know. Okay. but
When
but
was
yeah.
this that you remote viewed this? How long ago?
um maybe 2 years, year and a half, 2 years ago, maybe something like that. Um, but I was contacted. I was told to watch what I say, and it was actually from someone who I've never met in person. Okay, so it's not someone that I work with, anyone that that trained me in remote viewing or anything like that. It was someone that had befriended me, let's just say, and I knew that he knew some things, and I felt like it was a gentle reminder, let's just say. Uh, and I took it seriously. I took it as a courtesy, let's just say, actually, to remind me that maybe I had to be careful about what I talked about. I'm just a like I said, I'm just a civilian here. I'm a single mom. Okay. And I do this for fun, and I've always done remote viewing for fun, and when it's not fun, I'm not going to do it anymore. Okay, that's what I've always said. And so at that
Exactly.
point I thought, well, this is not fun. And so I still went on with my show, but I just kind of backed off of revealing all of the information on air that I had from my session. And I wasn't hiding it, though. I put it on my Patreon if anybody wanted to see it, but I just did not discuss it on air. Okay, but it's the Apollo 11 moon landing, and I still don't. I'm hesitant to talk about the data and stuff on air. Uh, but that's the one thing that got him going right there. Is that, and Buzz Aldrin was a part of that. And now, if you dig into it, he has a star. All of those men who are supposed to be on that mission have stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame for that. Why? Why are
The
the
best
astronauts that
actors
have
ever.
like they're actors?
They
Right.
should be winning triple Oscars. But isn't it hilarious? I remember posting something once as well. These guys had just all these, I think there was three of them had just come back from the moon, but they all had their buzz cuts and clean shaven after being away for so long. It's like, dudes, isn't your hair supposed to be long and beards bushy? Or does it just not grow when you're up there? You know what I mean? It was such a big act. I'm sorry, but this has been spoken about. Yes, I mean, obviously, as a remote viewer, you would have seen it, so you've got more credibility. But people I know have been speaking about this for a long time. It's like bullshit, man. There was no such thing, and blah 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 blah. But it makes a
Mhm.
lot of sense what you're saying. I think maybe we should do a show on that once, but we can do it then on my Gnostic channel where it's uncensored. So we should actually talk more about that. We should do a show for the Gnostic channel. And then we can go into all these details if you feel more comfortable with that. I'd obviously love to hear about that. I don't know if you feel comfortable saying anything now, but or we can leave it a bit, and we can talk about P. Diddy and these flippant celebrities, what they're doing and creating portals and that sort of thing as well, because I know that's one of the
Yeah.
things that they're using a lot at the moment. I mean, these guys that are falling, P. Diddy being the fall guy, and a lot of these celebs as well, and what's happening. I'm not, what's your take on that, actually? What do you
Well, I
think?
can't. Oh, I can tell you that if you look, it doesn't take long to find online. If you look up Buzz Aldrin, there's a picture of him holding his finger over his eye doing the 666 thing, that little hand symbol. So, um, and I'm not saying that's related to anything, but I'm just saying, okay. So, um, it
Yeah, I
they're
think
all
that's a
put out.
dead giveaway. That's a
It's
dead
a
giveaway.
dead giveaway. And, and these celebrities are put here. And, and this ties into so many other things that we've talked about, including recycled celebrities, artificial humans, even like the giants that I've done remote viewing sessions on, where the giant of Kandahar with the elite team of, special forces military guys went in to, according to my remote viewing data, it was to obtain a sample of a giant for cloning purposes. Okay. Now I think it's all connected because
That
whatever they're doing,
makes sense.
yeah, it's like this.
Wow.
The AI. They need bodies to put
Yes.
this AI inside of.
Yes,
And
of
even the
course.
holograms. I mean, I've done a remote viewing session on the Miami Mall aliens. Okay, we last January or whenever that was, we had allegedly some aliens that popped out of a portal in a mall down in Miami, Florida. And when I was remote viewing, I was given that as a target. I wrote down the Tupac hologram. Okay, because what I was seeing was like a hologram of something. Now that's interesting that I'm hearing now that there is Lucifer is a hologram of Satanic AI.
Yes.
Also, to connect to something else is that Tupac was supposed to have died back in the 90s. They're saying that he's alive now, too. So
Yes.
all
I,
this is so weirdly connected. Okay.
It's so crazy, right? And the hologram makes perfect sense because let's just look at all this the CGI type stuff, right? And if you're looking at you see often we're seeing a lot in China, for example, advertising on these billboards and stuff. I mean, this stuff is alive. I mean, it's completely 3D, right? And it's all holograms, right? And so, I mean, even if we look at the 9/11 terror attacks, I mean, there's a lot of, I mean, and there's a lot of speculation about whether that was actually real or not. I mean, what is your take on that, by the way? Do you
Oh
think
my
that was
God.
CGI? Hmm?
Shanti, that is so wild that you brought that up because when I remember when that happened, I was in college when that happened, and I was late for school because I sat at home and I watched the news coverage of it before I went into my class. And when I got to class, everybody was just dead silent. The TVs were on, we were all watching it. Um, Someone said, now I was really big into like, I know you have Leo that comes on your show, and I was watching him on, with Alex Jones on InfoWars and stuff. And so I was really big into that. That's when I got really hooked on that show. And I don't know if it was there where I heard it or someone told me. They said that, look, in the future, you're going to hear that those were holograms.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. And
absolutely.
and I thought, man, how is that even possible? And it didn't make sense. But now, 20 something years later, 23 years later, I think those could have been holograms, and it just makes sense. But I was told that when that happened, of all things. Like I knew that when it happened, those were holograms, even though it was really hard to wrap my head around. And I didn't understand why I got that information. But
That
yeah,
makes
yeah,
that
it makes
the
total
whole
sense. And think about Project Bluebeam. Okay. And we keep hearing about this alien invasion, the fake alien invasion that's going to happen. Well, how do you think they're going to do that? Okay. Holograms.
exactly what they're doing right now, and they're going to amp it up, and it makes perfect sense because I do believe that, as you say, like with the cryptids, the dogma, and the werewolves, all of that, that shit is not holograms. That's
No,
real. But
most of
there's a lot of stuff that is
it. Hmm.
holograms, and I think what they're doing is they're creating enough fear and chaos because remember, the realm of chaos is what they want. They want everything to be chaotic because that's when the fear and the loosh is like chocolate to them, right? So there's all of that that goes on, and it's amazing because I think the objective here is to confuse us in many ways, what's real and what's not real. And again, that whole is that divide and conquer, right? So let's fight about what's real and what's not real. And that's what's happening here. Let's fight about what we're allowed to talk about and what we're not allowed to talk about, as I'm experiencing now, right? So it's really it's a lot of that. So now more than ever before, I think we have to be so discerning. We have to be so true in our spiritual nature. It always comes back to that because we must remember that as a human being, we have a beautiful, powerful spirit. And that spirit is directly linked to God or your creator, whatever you choose to call your divine creator. Um, when you are in alignment with that, you can't be, I mean, they can try to confuse you, but you're going to pick up very quickly what's real and what's not real and how powerful you are and how you can actually, I want to say, transcend the BS. Because there are, as we say, the cryptids for sure, there's not a doubt in my mind. And the way, the whole transhumanism, the chimeras, stuff like that, right? All of that is real. They've been doing that. And as you say, the cloning facilities down there, because there's no doubt that I mean, when you're looking at, for example, Kate, Princess Kate, I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that they've unalived her and that she has a clone. I thought, though, that the clones are very expensive to make. So they would really use them for high level people, for example, the royal families, etc. And my suspicion would be that they would more use body doubles for the more lower level celebrities or whatever. I mean, Kanye West, for example, this dude walking around is not the same Kanye, for sure not, So I wonder, is that a clone or is that a body double? What's your take on that? I'd be interested to know what you feel about that.
I agree because I've followed Kanye, little Yeezy, okay, and so I know that other guy was just like big and stocky, and he just didn't look like the regular Kanye. And Kanye always said, uh, if because he was very religious, okay, and he said if ever I think now don't quote me on this, but I think he said if ever quit talking about God, he said that's not me, that's a clone or something like that, something along
Yeah.
those lines. And so this new Kanye came out, and he's like into the corn industry, if you know, that's what Bryce says. Okay, things like that. So
Yeah.
so it's just like different. It's like a different person. Now they said that he came back. The other version came back recently. He was seen walking through an airport or something. But I mean, look at the mugshot of Diddy. That doesn't look like the same person.
No, doesn't. Most
No.
definitely not. Yeah.
There's a lot I'd say cloning. I think that you're correct about the cloning being for maybe higher level people. But I mean, look at all the Joe Bidens too. It's like, how many Joe
Exactly.
Bidens do we have?
Exactly. 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 That's the thing. And when you're looking at the CIA, the Alphabet Boys, I
Hmm.
mean, you watch the masks that they're making. I mean, they are so realistic. I watched something, actually, a woman that used to work for the alphabet agencies, and she was involved in making the masks. And they talk about, they'll show you years ago the masks that they were making were quite, you could pick up quite easier that it was a mask.
Yeah.
Nowadays, they're like, I mean, if you have someone with a similar body type, for example, right, and a similar walk or something like that, then it's quite easy then to put on that mask and
Hmm.
fool the general public, especially if it's just for one occasion or something like that. But there again, you look at, for example, Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton. I mean, I've seen pictures of them. Sometimes they're like, he's that much taller than her. Other times he's that much taller than her. Sometimes she's skinny. Other times she's really plump. I mean, that's obvious to me, right? Those are not clones. Those are body doubles, in my opinion. I don't know. When we're talking about these recycled celebrities and stuff, what is
Hmm.
I mean, I know you did a show on that a while ago. Is that
Oh,
all for that?
oh, that's the thing. Okay, because see, I delve into the realm of like vampirism and immortals and things like that too, with my cryptid studies, of course. But I'm finding evidence of actors in this today playing two roles. Like, let's say there's a rapper called Trippie Redd. Okay, Trippie Redd, y'all look him up. Now, put him beside a picture of Orlando Brown, I think is his name. He's
Yes.
like kind of a whistleblower. He's been talking about the Diddy parties and stuff too. But that's, to me, I believe that's the same person. Okay, it's like the clean cut actor version, and then there's like the rapper with the tattoos all over his face version. Okay,
Yeah.
but it's the same person. Now, could it be a clone? Yeah, it could be. But I mean, I'd like to see the same two guys in the same room together at some point. Let's make a comparison here, because there's a lot of those. I mean, look at it, some say Benicio del Toro and Brad Pitt are the same person. Okay, there's all sorts of actors and actresses where, I mean, you look like Katy Perry and Zoe Deschanel, right?
Yeah.
It's all over. You just open your eyes to it, and you'll see I say recycled celebrities. Now I don't know if it's one person playing two roles, because this goes back to the Satanic AI, because
Yeah.
it goes. Uh, could it be one person playing? Oh God, well, I lost my train of thought there. It's da, da, da. I hate it when I lose my train
But
of
it's
thought and it comes back 2 seconds later after I forgot. But
no, but
but
I
yeah,
hear what you're saying in terms of that, because I also posted something recently, and you look at Miley Cyrus and Justin Bieber, and they put
oh
it
gosh,
together.
yes,
It's all of these things. So there's a lot of that. So it makes me wonder again, we're talking about the homunculi as well. These man-made babies. I'm wondering if that would have something to do with it as well, you know? Um,
yes.
it's
The
it's
magic, the
interesting.
manifestation and the magic and the rituals and all that stuff, it's all connected some crazy way. But yeah, I don't know. It makes more sense when you put in the aspect of this satanic AI and how it's put out there to confuse us. Okay, to trick the
Totally.
public. Like, now, is it immortal vampires, or is it, Satanism, or is it both? Okay, or is it just clones? What's the purpose? We know that they're trying to deceive the public. They know that they're trying to pull one over on us. But what's the core of it all? Like, what's the core of it all? I don't know. Satanic AI seems to
Exactly.
be the answer.
For sure. And I think if you look at and if you understand how the system works, basically, I mean, these kids, and I call them kids because the whole Britney Spears, and in fact, I was also reading something the other day. Um, Someone put out there that they were looked at the birth and the death registries of people, and both Britney Spears and Avril Lavigne died in 2008. So
And
that's on the death
Eminem. I
in the
heard
death
Eminem too.
registry.
I don't know if it was
Yeah.
2008, but I've heard a lot of them die.
Yeah. And then, of course, they bring in back these definite lookalikes. I mean, Britney Spears has always had, if you look at her body, she's had a very specific shape body, right? If you go back then,
Yeah.
and even now, even though she's gone a little bit loopy, in other words, of how they want us to perceive her, but it's a
Yeah.
similar body. So it makes me wonder that I think that is a clone. And I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
It
Maybe
could be a
maybe
clone.
that.
It could be a hologram too, though. Okay, so
Right.
you got to bring in the holographic aspect as well. I mean, they put it right in our face, as you mentioned, the advertising, and that's really prevalent in Las Vegas, okay, in Dubai, in Japan. There's a lot of this like holographic, even at football stadiums. Okay, like I think it was the Jaguars potentially. I think it was the who is it the Tennessee Jaguars now, or Jacksonville Jaguars? I guess it's Jacksonville, Florida. In their stadium, they had a gigantic, huge jaguar that ran through the field and then jumped up on top of the stadium during their game. You can find it online, and it was huge, but it was a hologram, but it looked very real. But it's so wacky and out there. It's not, it's not real, but it looks real.
Exactly.
And so
Totally.
you got to factor all that into what we're seeing, especially because a lot of what we see is on television, right? We're not seeing it live in
Yes.
person. They can
Yes.
do anything online and on television to trick us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, it takes me to 9/11. And again, I don't want to say that it didn't happen, because I do believe that people absolutely were perished there. But I
Yeah.
think they would have done that explosion because there was so much stuff um,
Yeah.
that how they would have blown the buildings up, right? And obviously
Mhm.
coincided that with the hologram CGI of the aeroplanes going through the building. I mean, that for
Yes.
me. But there again, I wonder then what would have happened because a lot of people were speaking about their family members that were on these aeroplanes. So it makes me wonder what did happen to those flights? Or, where did the people go
Yeah.
that were supposedly on these aeroplanes? Were they perished in this
Mhm.
facade? You know?
Well, I would actually, okay, and I don't know, but we have so many people that go missing. It ain't no thing but a chicken wing, honestly, when it comes to things like this. I hate to say it that way,
Yeah.
but for the, I mean, look how it changed our world. And casualties, those are, I forgot what you call it, what the term is, but it's kind of like um it's nothing to the people who orchestrate these events to disappear people. Um,
Yeah.
just
Exactly. They feel
hundreds
nothing.
of people, thousands of people, even. I mean, we have an epidemic of people going missing in the U.S. from our national parks, and we've talked about that
Yes.
here.
Yeah.
Um, where are they going? Underground
Exactly.
facilities, experiment.
Exactly. You were
Yeah.
talking earlier on about the football stadiums and stuff that are on ley
Hmm.
lines, and that's so true because when we're talking about the churches as well, and we know the Mormon Church, the Catholic Church form part of the five pillars of the Illuminati, and all the survivors I've spoken to that have been, especially in the Mormon Church, they will tell you the same thing. The Mormon churches are built, and especially when if any of you guys have been watching my shows with Jesse, when we're decoding the churches and you see the structures and how they're shaped, etc., you see who they give their uh, lifeblood to, if you want to call it that. You see what's happening beneath the surfaces. You see who their gods are, who they're worshiping. All of this stuff, they're telling you this all the time. And with the churches, the Catholic churches, everyone knows the Catholic churches. Well, everyone on these platforms have been listening to me for a while will know that the Catholic churches, I mean, the worst atrocities happen beneath the surfaces of our feet. That's for sure in these underground facilities, and they're built on ley lines, portals. Recently in Australia, Taylor Swift was there, and I was speaking to Rachel Vaughan. Rachel Vaughan was talking about that, and the way that I think it was the way the stadium or something, I do speak under correction, I don't remember exactly, was positioned on a ley line and all to do with rituals and stuff like that. I mean, Taylor Swift, anyone who knows anything about Satanism and what have you, you know she's been doing her dodgy things on stage. And then, of course, not long after that, Katy Perry comes to Australia with a picture of her flying through a portal. So they're creating the opening, and especially Australia. I mean, Australia is nasty. The underbelly of Australia is freaking nasty, nasty,
Oh my God.
nasty. Yeah. So they're doing it all. They harvest the energy. And guys, I did an interview with Adrian John Wells, also an Australian, and I'm gonna post that one on my Gnostic channel in the next few days. And he's talking about direct DEWs. This man is fascinating. He had like a network implanted from them under his skull, under the skin, somewhere there. He talks about it. And he was a live conduit for this thing from the age of 3. They've been using it is insane. And he explains how they make the DEWs and how they harvest the energy from the earth and from the cloud above. And that's how they work. And then they target people with these direct energy weapons. It's insane because they're using a lot of that now, right? When we're just looking at how the floods, the fires, the weather conditions, all of that stuff. And this is probably one of the best interviews I've done with Adrian ever. And when he explains this, I'm going to put it up. You guys need to go and watch that. I swear, I was like sitting, my jaw was hanging open, like
Yeah.
really, really, really. And of course, he's highly targeted. He's a highly, highly, highly targeted individual. They never, ever stop chasing him, ever. So
Mm.
that's what's happening now as well. And, these things are all coming to the fore. And there's certain codes, there's codes they use with stuff like that. So, and it's all harvesting, energy harvesting, basically. And they harvest the energy and they use it for their own nefarious purposes. It's horrific. It's horrific. And that's what the holograms and CGI is about, isn't it?
It is. It is. And we think about in terms of like the Super Bowl. I don't watch football anymore at all because back in right after we had a big hurricane. Speaking of DEWs, we had a big hurricane, and it was horrific, and it wiped out New Orleans, Louisiana. And I can't remember the year that was, maybe 2004, I think. Hurricane Katrina is what it was called. And right after we kind of got that cleaned up a little bit, and a lot of the people that lived in that area got dispersed to other parts of the country. And I was a big football fan back then, by the way, of the NFL. And I live in Georgia, so I was an Atlanta Falcons fan. And I remember the New Orleans Saints were like they've always been our biggest rival. Okay, a big rival. And back then we had a football quarterback named Michael Vick. Now he fell from fame because of his dog fighting ring that he had, which was horrific, right? But back before that happened, he was a great quarterback. Okay, and I remember watching that game, the first game that New Orleans had back after the hurricane, and I thought, oh man, we're gonna, I was excited for the Falcons, and that was the first time I had watched a game that was 100% rigged. Okay, and I say that with all love and light. Okay, all love and light. It was rigged. He threw a terrible game. He was obviously fumbling things, obviously. And I thought, well, the New Orleans deserves a win, okay, no matter what, because they've been through a lot. It was for the morale, and I could see it. But that was when things changed for me. Okay, I know I have these like pinpoints of when
Right.
things changed for me when I realized what the bigger picture was, and that was
Abs-
one of them. And that is a state, and these stadiums are where all this loosh is created. The people
Yeah.
that are watching it, we've got these portals, which are our televisions and our cell phones, and we're pumping all of our energy into it, and it's grabbing that, it's sucking it in, okay,
Right.
to these events. And so that's when I started waking up on the sports, the major league sports, and everything that's in our lives. It's all entertainment, okay, and it's for harnessing energy, and our energy is our biggest asset,
Exactly. Our
biggest one.
consciousness, for sure.
Hmm.
Because we have something that they don't have, which is a soul,
Yeah.
spiritual consciousness. And that's why when they create chaos, because they don't have the ability to manifest for themselves. So they therefore create chaos, as you say, putting all these places on these ley lines and portals and stuff. Then everyone's going, whoa, 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 and good or bad energy, it doesn't matter. They're harvesting it, they're stealing it, and that's their loosh. And then the more fear they create, so the more chaos they create, they put us into fear. And then, of course, when we're in fear, we lose our power, isn't it? And that's
Yeah.
when they can sweep this whole tidal wave along that then becomes their gold, if you will, because that's exactly what they do. It's exactly what they do. And they use us to manifest that for them. And this is why I say, when people say, well, I'm so happy, just don't talk about what you want to say, Chantelle, because I just like being in my little bubble. I'm going, oh my God, do you know how many bubbles I see floating around? I'm going to shoot it. The bubble, that is.
Right.
It's
Oh
like,
my God.
boom, get out of your bubble. We can't
Well,
be having bubbles.
that's why you and I, your voice is very powerful, and your shows are very powerful. You're putting out some very important information, and I'm bringing out a lot of really important information and bringing on the right people as well.
Yes.
And if I'm out here, I've spent the past 15 years in the woods chasing things that could eat me. Okay, I literally chase them. I have no fear. I'm not going to say I don't get scared occasionally, but that's what I do. And if I can live without fear like that, and I can kind of radiate that out to the masses, and kind of talk it out with everybody, and let you know what I'm doing, and how I learn not to live in fear, and how you can do it too. And that's what you're doing as well. I think that that is
Exactly.
so powerful, and
It
that's
is
what they don't want.
powerful. And it's
Yeah.
so true, you know, it's so, so true. And this is why I keep saying it's about aligning with your spirit, your true spirit,
Hmm.
and having the true Christ consciousness within your heart. And it's such a fine line. It's so you know, we can be so easily deceived. Um, but the key is truth. We need to be in truth. And it's not about just telling the truth now. It's about living a life that is based on truth, because truth is a frequency. And that, you know, if we think about God is truth, the devil is a lie. And that's as simple as what it gets. So if we have the choice to act in a way that is truthful or deceptive, even if we are not a bad person, always make the decision to be in truth or to tell the truth or to be transparent. We think that that's the weakness. We've been taught that we have to lie and save our asses because, oh God, we don't need. But I tell you, long ago, Jessica, long ago, have I learned the value of speaking the truth. And it doesn't mean I've got to blurt everything out. If someone says to me, what about this,
Right.
this, this? I'll go, well, you know what? I'm not really comfortable speaking with you about that right now. Or no, I don't feel like speaking to you. I'm not prepared to discuss that with you. You're still in your truth. You don't have to tell everything. That's not what it's about. But truth is a frequency. And when you are in the when you're aligned with the frequency of truth, you're aligned with the frequency of God. And when you're aligned with that, you will be in the right place at the right time. You will be, um, a bullet will narrowly miss your head by a zillimeter, right? Or something
Yeah.
like that. That's how it
Yeah.
works. And you are able to then, through being in truth and through being in with the Christ, true Christ in your heart,
Mhm.
you automatically are then on a higher frequency where these things cannot reach you. And that's what it's about. No one is coming to save you. And I know you guys have got elections and stuff coming up, and I know it's a big, scary time and a time where everyone's on edge right now. But you know, the bottom line is that doesn't matter who comes in. It really and truly does not matter who comes in and who usurps power or is given power or whatever the case might be. No one is going to save anyone. You are there to save yourself. And the way you're going to save yourself is by being in truth and by keeping your frequency high. That's how it's done. And I don't
Mhm.
care what anyone says. I've proved that to myself over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And the value of being in truth is basically about being aligned with God. If you're going to choose to continue to speak bullshit, lies, spread rumors, run away whenever you're confronted with something that you need to be accountable for, whatever the case might be, it doesn't mean you're a bad person, but it means that you're aligning with the lie, which is the devil or Satanic AI.
Lucifer's palace. Yeah,
Yeah.
Lucifer's palace. Don't
Yes,
align with
Elizabeth
that,
Gallop.
y'all. Yeah.
Exactly. So
Yes.
wow.
Don't
And
work
it's
to the
true. I know,
hologram, y'all. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I know you and I often have these conversations, and I think it is so important to um continue to put out these shows. And you know, you were
Mhm.
saying we both putting out very important information out there right now. And they can't really, I mean, I'm, you know, no matter how much they try and threaten or try and intimidate or whatever it is they try and do, that's all they can really do. Um, but if you are in walking in the light of God, they can't touch you. That's true. That for me is truth. So I will
Yeah.
continue to do what I do. I know what I'm doing is in alignment with what my soul's purpose is. And I know yours is too. I can see that a mile away. So we will continue. We will continue, you know. And that's what it's about for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Me too. Me too. We're not going to let these AI bots stop us. ever. Okay, screw them. I'm having too much
Absolutely.
fun. I mean, this is some dark stuff that you and I cover, where, but that's just the state of the world right now. It's kind of, it can be dark, but like we're just shedding light on it. Okay, we're shedding light on it. I run into the dark to go chase things, like I said, that could eat me. Okay, because that's what I love to do. I'm bait. Okay, I like being bait to pull things out, to come and chase me. I'm like dangling a piece of steak in front of a tiger or something. That's what I do. And then and I'm here. I'm still alive. I'm doing it. I'm having fun. Okay,
Exactly.
and that's just what it's all about. I'm built for
And
it. So are
I
you.
think you've said a very profound word there. I'm having fun, you know, and fun is absolutely what we should be having because that is what keeps our vibration high. Really, it is to enjoy life, to see the best in a situation, to always look at how we can evolve into being a better version of ourselves. If we make mistakes, how to rectify them and fix them then. If you need to apologize, apologize. If you need to do something different, then do something different. Um, it starts with you. It starts with you. Everyone, it starts here. And when we've done that, then we pass that on to everyone around us. Yeah.
And don't be afraid to change either, and to
I
change
know.
your mind on stuff. Okay, that's so important. And keep an open mind about everything. Okay, these are
Yeah.
just words of wisdom coming out of me right now. Okay,
But it's so
just words
true.
of wisdom. Don't ever be afraid of change at all,
And
because we have to
exactly,
change to evolve.
when change comes knocking at your door, that's the perfect time. And most people, when change comes knocking at their door, sometimes, most times, change is not pleasant, right? It'll often hit us like a curveball out of nowhere. And most people want to know, well, okay, if I'm going to resign or if I'm going to go there, then what's going to happen there? That's not how to do it. You have to have trust, you have to have faith. You have to know, have that faith within yourself to know that when change comes knocking at the door, even if it is scary, it is time to make that step and trust that when one door closes, 10 others are going to open and you're going to have choices and options. So if a divorce is imminent, if the end of a relationship, or the end of a job, the end of a whatever it might be, you know, yes, it's normal to be scared and be scared and acknowledge that you're scared, but go, fuck it, let's do it. Here I
Do
am.
it.
Let's do it. Let's just take the risk. And the more of us who can do that, that's how we turn the tide. When we no longer have that fear, because fear, the acronym is false evidence appearing real. Fear is false evidence appearing real. So when you walk towards your fear and you smash that fear in its face, what's beyond that fear is amazing. It is amazing when you've conquered your fears little bit by little bit. Um, I think Jim Morrison, is it Jim Morrison? Said there's a quote that says, once you have faced your deepest fear, you are free. That's
Yeah,
it.
I've definitely faced the final boss of my fear factors many times. I keep thinking it's like I'm at the final boss now. I got to defeat this big dude, and then I get another one down the road. But at least and each one keeps getting bigger. But it's okay because I'm equipped now. I'm equipped to
And and
fight those
until they're
final
not
bosses.
and eventually they're not going to be there anymore. Eventually they're not going to be there anymore because they're going to know you're not scared of them anymore.
No,
Think about teasing someone and you keep getting a reaction out of that person. It's fun to tease them, right? But when they don't give you a reaction anymore, or you're going to leave them alone because then it's boring, right? So they're going to leave you alone because they're not getting the desired reaction out of you. So just
yeah,
continue to walk
we
the
we have a
path ahead.
saying. We have a saying here in the South. Don't be scared. Okay, don't be scared. That's don't be scared. Okay, don't be scared.
Scared.
Yeah, it's there's no need to be scared. Just, face things head on and embrace the suck, y'all. Embrace the suck.
Exactly.
And life
Exactly.
gets better. It'll get better. I
Exactly.
see beautiful things in our future. I mean, we're shedding light on all this darkness right now, and it's being shown to us, and it's really dark. It's really dark. But at least we're seeing it now. And maybe even some of our favorite celebrities from back in the 90s are going to reappear as alive today. Who knows?
Maybe
Who
Michael
knows?
Jackson is alive. Maybe Princess
I
Diana
think he
is
is.
alive. Maybe she is going to get married to Donald Trump. Who
Too.
knows?
I saw that picture of her with her hair. She always waves like this. And I
Yeah.
saw a picture of her with her hand like this in an airplane and with her book. And I don't know. It's all crazy. JFK Jr. and his wife, and they're all gonna come back. I mean, who knows? I'm excited. I've got my popcorn. Okay. I've got my
Dude.
popcorn. We'll see what
I mean,
happens.
what a wonderful time to be alive. I always say that. What a wonderful time to be alive. Wow, Jessica. It's been great as always to have you on. And thank you so, so, so much. I'm not sure if there's anything you still want to share or cover.
Um, no, I think we covered all of it really. I mean, we could cover all sorts of stuff, but yeah, just the satanic AI, it really it pretty much blew my mind hearing about the possibility of extraterrestrials bringing in like evil extraterrestrials, according to David Wilcock, bringing in Satanism and setting it up on different planets all over the galaxy,
Yeah,
um, and bringing in the rituals and all the stuff that we're seeing in our with the celebrities and in our public um, and just the darkness of it and how it is kind of controlling the masses. Okay, and so I'm just glad that we're being told about it so we can kind of examine it and shed light on it and maybe change it. Okay, maybe change get it out of
exactly.
here. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. I think that's the most important thing. Knowledge is power, and when the more we know, the more we can smile and go, "Oh, whatever."
Yeah.
You know, that definitely for me is what it's about. Yay! Well, thank you, everybody. I so appreciate your joining us. And as you know, we were not live tonight, but we're going to premiere this soon after the show. I've just got to render the video, probably take about an hour or so. But Jessica, I'll let you know when I'm putting it up so we can be in the chats there, hopefully. And
I'll be there.
say hi to everyone. Of course, I miss our live broadcast because I also love having the audience there. And yeah, look forward to having you back. And hopefully, we're going to have Caleb back soon as well. Everybody, Caleb has been through a bit of a rough time lately. So he's just taking some time out, we're figuring out, the next step forward. Yeah, it's a dangerous time for everyone. And keep him in your prayers, please. And in the meantime, hopefully we're going to have Caleb on with you soon again. It's always fun to have him on with these topics as well. So that's very enjoyable.
I love
Okay,
Caleb.
everybody.
Sending all my love to Caleb, by the way.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see him. Yeah.
he's awesome. He really, really is awesome and bringing forward so much information that I know he knows he has to bring forward. And I know it's not easy for him to talk about it because he's constantly being hit when he does. But hey, together we will do it, right? We're a tribe, we're a team, and we'll all walk each other home for sure. Take care, everybody. God bless you all. Like, share, subscribe, please. This is really, really important information. Just share far and wide. So take care. God bless you all. And I will see you very, very, very soon. See you,
All right.
everybody. Bye bye. Thanks, Jessica. Look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks' time again. Cheers,
Thank
guys.
you.